You good? Okay. Okay. Good evening and welcome to the April 8th, 2014 meeting of the Town of Wareham Board of Selectmen and Sewer Commissioners. We began the meeting at 6:05 p.m. and immediately went into executive session for reason number 3, which is to discuss contract negotiations and or litigation, whereby public discussion of those matters would have been detrimental to the interests of the town. Could we do the roll call again one more time, please?
Present is Selectman Whiteside, Selectman Tropiano, Selectman Holmes, Selectman Slavin, Selectman Titlebaum, Town Administrator Derek Sullivan, Town Council Richard Bowen.
Okay, next item, please.
Next item is reorganization of the board.
Just so people understand what this is, after every annual election, regardless of whether incumbents are re-elected or new people come on the board votes to reorganize, and that involves a change of the officers. You get a new chairman and you get a new clerk typically, and so that's what the purpose of this is tonight. Selectman Holmes?
Mr. Chairman, it's a great privilege, I hope. I think that to nominate Mr. Slavin as our next chairman of the Board of Selectmen.
Second.
Motion by Selectman Holmes, seconded by Selectman Whiteside. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, 500.
401.
401, we have an abstention.
May I make the next motion? Steve?
Congratulations.
You have to just wait.
Thank you.
You have a round of applause for the new chairman, please.
Very quickly, this will be a very difficult year. Y'all are going to have to do the best we can. Everybody's going to have to step up and help. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman? That's you now.
Sorry.
If I might, as probably one of the longer-term sitting members here, I'd like to just take a moment and thank Mr. Titlebaum. The role of chairman, I was telling Patrick today over a quick phone conversation that the role of chairman, people don't realize how much of your time that requires in addition to being a selectman. You don't always realize it until it's over. So you're going to find probably somewhere around 18 to 20 hours a week, Peter, that you won't know what to do with it. I'm sure your dog will be happy, and your family will be happy that you won't have all those phone calls coming in. But I do want to say, at least on behalf of the board and myself, thank you, because I know that that's a difficult job, and it was a job well done.
Oh.
So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that Patrick Tropiano be the clerk.
I
for the
second
upcoming
that.
year.
Motion by Mrs. Whiteside, second by Stephen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 500.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
That's the one that's not easy.
Mr. Chairman, so that you know, I'm taking his orange pen away from him because that is simply not
Writing
gonna
in
work.
crayons is
It's just not
not
going to
good.
work.
Taking all the fun away from us.
All right, then let's, shall we get on?
Yes, please.
All right, announcements. Ms. Whiteside.
Thank you. I have several. I just want to congratulate Jim Bruce for his being named Citizen of the Year by the Wareham and New Bedford Lodge number 73. An honor to a person who has dedicated a lot to the community. In the schools, Rachel's Challenge is being brought back by the Scotty Montero group. Rachel's Challenge is an extremely moving program, and today it was at the high school, will be at the intermediate school middle school, and the grade schools as well. Rachel was one of the people who died in the Columbine High School shooting, and she had a diary that indicated a whole lot of really interesting things. But she believed, above all, that kindness and showing compassion could start a chain reaction of the same. Scotty Montero, of course, died at a very young age here in Wareham, and it is hoped that this program can defuse some of the issues that are in our society today. I'd like to thank the Wareham Garden Club for, again, offering a $1,000 scholarship to any resident of Wareham who is graduating from any high school or technical school and is going to college or any higher education with a focus in agriculture, horticulture, biology, earth sciences, conservation, and the environment. For those of you who would like to see the Easter Bunny, she is going to be at the Wareham YMCA on Saturday, April 12th from 9 to 11. The admission is $8 for children and adults, $22 for a family package, which covers a picture and a pancake breakfast. And then finally, I have a challenge to my peeps here. That's you guys. We have a lot of playgrounds in the town of Wareham, and there was a report that we brought forward 10 months ago or something like that. And I challenge my fellow selectmen to adopt the cleanup of the Lopes Playground within the next month, that we each bring our expertise to the playground, picking it up, sweeping it up, fixing up the issues that are there, and that we make it a community event. I was on the Board of Selectmen 30-some-odd years ago and challenged my fellow selectmen to build the playground. 1,500 people over a 4-day weekend and $15,000 in 1982. It's withstood a lot, but it needs to be fixed up and cleaned up. So I challenge you gentlemen to that, and we will have a day. It would be a weekend, probably not until maybe after town meeting.
Mrs. Whiteside, over the next week, could you put something together at the Selectmen's office? Get back to us.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
And that's it, thank you.
I have no announcements. Stones?
Thank you, Mr. Clark. You ready for that?
Yeah.
Glad they took away your crayon, though.
Come on.
Just to be brief, spring is in the air, and I noticed I was out there myself on Sunday raking leaves. I see the boss man from the maintenance department sitting out in the hallway back there. So I'm sure. Are you actually coming up here tonight to speak? Good, because when you get here, you can be prepared to answer the question, what do you want us to do with our sand? All right? David, is that fair? All right. I do want to go back because, I've been going around and I continue my mission of visiting businesses and things. And I don't know if I acknowledged, and I don't know the name of the business. I know it has to do with tree removal. Patrick, do you know who that is? Right on, where I'm talking about, the lights on 28, where Cumberland Farms is.
Lights on 28.
There's a
No, I
tree
don't
removal
know.
company right there.
Yes,
You know who I'm
I
talking
don't
about?
know
It's
who
next
that
to
is.
Billy Bichon's place. I don't know the name. It's
Well,
Billy
anyway,
Bichon's.
they've
Billy
done a
Bichon's place?
remarkable job there in
Cleaning the
Clean up
place
the
up.
cleaning up that entire corner. There's a new fence up. Did you notice all that at the lights? Say it again.
The old McKee property.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
So I want to give a big shout out to those folks for the fine work that they're doing there. We have a lot of stuff around from the winter, and it's all good to see that people are out there. I will, for those who have called me in regards to the issues over the weekend in terms of the noise out in West Wareham, I will, as promised, I'll bring that up under H, which is town business, and I'll ask the board to authorize some action at that point as an emergency item. You know, we were downtown Sunday having breakfast at the Riverside. Great place to have breakfast. If you haven't been there, you need to go by there. I also noticed in the store that Twinkies are back. Has anybody noticed? Twinkies in the store. Have you noticed? The Wonder Bread Twinkies. Nobody's noticed?
We won.
So at least for the next couple of months, there's a thrift store that has the over by the Hertz rental car place. They have great bread in there, French toast bread, and all that kind of good stuff. So we visited there. There's also a hobby shop there that is doing whatever they're doing in there. It's fantastic. That parking lot was full on Saturday afternoon. I didn't get a chance to go in and visit, but that'll be one of my next stops. So all is well, and spring is in the air, and you know, the cleanup has begun, and we look forward to hearing Mr. Menard there talk to us about sand when he has a chance to speak later on. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Okay. Mr. Titlebaum.
Yes. First off, just a reminder that the Wareham Fire and Water District election is going to be on Saturday, April 19th from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. This happens at the Water District offices on Cranberry Highway, right across from the nursing home. Again, April 19th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., Wareham Fire and Water District election. On the ballot this time around, I believe, is one Prudential Committee spot, I think a Water District, Water Commissioner spot, and also one question to authorize the district to seek legislation to pay us back the $210,000 that we've been waiting for about 3 years now. The other thing I'd like to announce, this first annual Lane Bilodeau Award will be presented by the Council on Aging at noon on April 15th in the Council on Aging here in this multi-service center. As everyone knows, Mr. Bilodeau passed away recently, and the Council on Aging has come up with an annual award, and they're going to award that on the 15th. The final thing is the YMCA Swimathon will also be on April 19th. This is a chance to go get yourself soaking wet, swim laps in the pool, raise money for the YMCA. A lot of this money goes to the scholarship fund, which helps kids who couldn't otherwise afford to go to the Y to be able to go there, have recreation, take classes, and get some good guidance in life. That's all I have.
Mr. Chairman.
We have several things today. There'll be a meeting of the MOP, which is part of SERPED, on Route 6 and 28 on the 15th. I'll be there as a member of MOP, Selectmen. Looks as if we're going to have to fight a little bit. The project looks like it's going to be pushed back to the year 2017. They have added substantially more money to the project. It's now up to almost $14 million, so I've got to get some understanding of what's the cause of the increase. Are they doing more, or it's just the cost of takings, et cetera? And also the explanation of why it's being pushed back 1 year. Every year we wait, we lose anywhere from 2 to 3 people a year there. So I'm concerned about that. We have an oyster festival on the 27th on Main Street. I think Mr. Grady, I saw in the background somewhere. There's also a gala on the 25th. Get a hold of the Wareham Village Association for information there. We have another event called Another Star, celebrating Wareham's multicultural legacy. It's going to be at the Wareham High School Auditorium Saturday, April 26th from 6 to 10 p.m. Doors open at, I think it's 5 o'clock for networking. This event is going to have Portuguese dance troupe, the Tico Evora and the Cape Verdean band. Michael Gonçalves will be singing the national anthem. Asling Pear Tree will be performing. Positively featuring Buddy Montero. And then the featured speaker will be Dana Moeller Faria, president of Bridgewater State University. And I hope everybody takes the time to come and see the event. It should be very interesting. On the thing for Lane Bilodeau, just so everybody understands, this is something that the Council on Aging decided that they wanted to do, and they wanted to do it as an annual yearly event. So they'll be awarding this on a yearly basis. The location, just in case you miss it, is the Multi-Service Center at the gymnasium cafeteria downstairs in this building. Will be at 12 o'clock noon. And I think that's all we have for today.
Okay, next on the agenda is the citizens' participation. Is there anyone here to come to speak?
Mrs. Rumney?
He's got a point.
Evening, Pat. I've made a little change ahead of time. There's a logbook there. I'm asking, because pens, I'm asking people to sign in with information, and also a very quick note before they leave of if they have an issue that needs any resolving. What we're going to do, we will implement basically a standard Excel spreadsheet. As people come up and have issues, we'll take and record them, we'll put them through to the town administrator, get some answers, and then we'll actually get back to the people directly and also put it on. Every time we do this, we'll also explain what we've had for answers. Thank you.
Hi, I am Pat Rumney, and I'm not here with an issue. I'm here with a big, big thank you to all who voted yes to question 1 on the ballot on April 1st with reference to snow plowing. And I'd also like to thank our town clerk, Mary Ann Silva, for all her help in explaining the process for putting a question on the ballot. Thank you to the Board of Selectmen, the town administrator, the moderator Claire Smith for all their help in getting that done. And signatures were necessary, and I had a lot of help from Wareham residents who canvassed their particular neighbors. And I just want to mention a few. Barbara Thomas lives on Windy Hill Drive and also is part of the Bait and Tackle Shop on Main Street. Mary Ribeiro from Candle Paper off Paper Mill Road. Kathy Messenger off Tohonet Road. Ann from Hamilton Beach and Swifts Beach. Patty Wild from Indian Neck. Dave Stinchfield from Indian Mound. Tracy Medeiros from the Gallery Consignment Shop on Main Street, and others. And an apology if I left you out. And I just wanted to make sure that they were all thanked. And one thing I'll tell you, going through that whole process, I got to go all around Wareham and found places I didn't even know existed in Wareham. So it was a real good experience, and thank you so much for voting that way. Now, that's not a complaint, but I'll sign the book.
Thank you for all your work, Pat.
Thank you.
Next, please. Joe? Hope you'll all excuse my informality. People that I know, I always call them by their first name.
Hi, I'm Joe Mulkern, Precinct 2. I just want to bring up to the selectmen. Back last year, I think it was around December, I came in asking for support to get people to get on these different boards because we don't have quorums. And a perfect example is today there was a posting for the Disability Commission, which I resigned from, mainly partly because we couldn't get a quorum. I went up there today, and guess what? There was just one member there, not myself, because I had resigned. So I urge you people to try and get not only disability, but all the other boards, because I go to a lot of other meetings and sat in, and they can't get anything done because they don't have a quorum. My second issue is, thank God Mr. Menard is here, because after the rainstorms we've had, it's been pathetic, and I live on White Tunis Avenue, if you know where it is, down in the Indian Mound area. It's a long street, goes down, makes a right turn onto a dirt road, and all the water comes down the street there, and it's coming down because the drainage system on White Tunis Ave is terrible, and it's washing out the beach down at the bottom of the road there. And I've called Mr. Menard about that, and all we got was a cone on there saying that it's going to be taken care of. And we have another problem is the street up the street from me. There's a house there that's had one of those orange barrels for 3 years to repair a drain, and that hasn't been done. So I'd please ask Mr. Menard to take care of this problem. And also, we have an exposed pipe on the beach there. We don't know what it is, and I've asked him to find out what it is because it's making the people down in that roadway concerned. It's an abandoned piece of pipe. I don't know where it goes and where it comes from.
He doesn't know, Steve. It's an exposed pipe. Joe, if you just fill that in for me there.
What's that?
Just on the
Oh,
book.
yes, I will too.
Thank
And
you.
also, like I say, I just want as you all know, I have Article 23, which is abandoned properties, up on the warrant, and I hope everyone comes, because every time I go out, I do a lot of Meals and Wheels driving around town, and it's getting horrendous now. My wife looks at things and says, there we are, there's another abandoned building, and it has to be corrected. It has to be corrected because it's costing people money. Because I talked to a developer, not a developer, a real estate lady, and she's trying to sell a piece of property, and guess what? She can't sell it, not because of an abandoned piece of property, but because of people next door have trash, and they go on the porch, look across the way, and there's a big mess. And John, I met John in the parking lot today, the inspectional person for the Board of Health, and he says it happens around town all the time. So it's not only that we have problems with abandoned buildings, but we have Board of Health problems, which John, thank God, is addressing, and I appreciate all the work he's doing. Thank you. So
Thank
I
you.
just fill this form out with all the questions that I want corrected.
If you want, if you have it all written out, just fold it in and put it in the little
No, I
slot
don't
there
have
by
it
the
written,
pens.
no,
Just make some notes so we know how to answer back. Next, please. Priscilla? No little kids today. Yeah. Hmm? It shouldn't be in through.
I'm Priscilla Porter. I'm the president of the Friends of the Wareham Free Library. Beside me is Diane Lazarus. She's a member of the Wareham Library Foundation. And Bethany Gay, who is the chairman or president of the Board of Trustees. I have with me some things I'm going to turn over to the board. The first is some statistics about the 7 libraries that aren't certified within the state of Massachusetts. They're all out in the western part of the state. I have a list. On February 1st, I believe it is, was Rally Day at the library. The request was made for people that use the library, patrons, to write down what they like about the library. And I have copies of all of those comments that were made. I also have a letter here that came from a young man that goes to the library, Addison Dion. I'd like to just read it. It's just a couple of lines. I want the library to stay open because the library means a lot to me, because I don't have a library at my elementary school. I love to read, and I go every 2 weeks. I get chapter books. I even went for a story time when I was little, and now my brother goes, and that's where I get all my books. And it was from Dion, Addison Dion. I also have, and this came from a Wareham family, they set up their own petition. The first is from the middle school, and classmates signed it. And the younger sibling was at the Deacon School, and this is signed by kindergarten through fourth grade from the Deacon School. I also have signatures on a petitions that have been at the library since the rally day. There's 296 signatures, and they're requesting support for the library. I also have 291 signed letters from voters to the Board of Selectmen and Derek Sullivan, and essentially they are saying that the library is essential to services. They list the services, and they would like the library to be made a priority, and want support. I know with the budget the way it stands that the funds aren't there. My request is that the override budget, I have seen the numbers, and currently the library portion is $100,000 short. I've been told that that is the number from this fiscal period, but Between the Friends of the Library and the Wareham Library Foundation, we have added over $100,000 to that budget, which is not recognized by the Board of Library Commissioners for the state. So I am requesting that in the override budget, that an additional $100,000 is added so the library may stay certified.
Thank you.
And I will give you these.
Can I tab it, please?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, John and lady.
If we're going to have additional people, just on the library to promote it, we really have had enough information here now. I don't want to, turn anybody away. If you come up with the kids, but, after a while, it's the same thing. We understand what you're looking for. We appreciate everybody who's come in to support the library as well. Thank you.
Thanks. We are here to support the library. When we got an email from the people at the library to ask us, oh, sorry, my name is Bridget Kearns. I participated in the letter writing campaign with the, as part of the library to help with appealing that decertification. And when they asked us to come support tonight,
Go ahead. Hi.
go ahead, tell them your name. Go ahead.
Now he's going to be shy, right?
Yeah.
Talk right into this.
Go ahead, tell them who you are. I thought it would be very challenging for me to make this selectman meeting when asked, because my husband's currently working nights, and so I have 2 little guys that need to be in bed by 8 o'clock, which is not going to happen tonight. But they asked, our reasons for coming and to share with you guys why the library is so important to us. And these are the reasons why the library is so important to the people in this community. So I figured I would bring them along. This is my daughter Emerson. She's 8 years old, and she's a student at Deacon's Elementary. And this is Finley, and he's 5, and he's going to go to kindergarten in the fall. We do spend a lot of time at the library getting books. And it's very important for us that the library stay open. And I don't need to reiterate all the reasons why. These are my reasons. Do I want the library? Absolutely, I want the library for myself. It serves everybody in the community, from the youngest people to the oldest people. I don't pretend to understand budgets or how to run a government. I work in healthcare. So I don't intend to ask you to understand all of these numbers. But the thing that bothers me about this proposed 2.5 override is when you're looking to make a lean budget, things like, and I don't mean to offend anybody, but the rec and lifeguard program are things that are really low on my priority list. And I was a lifeguard for this town. I lifeguarded at Swift's Next for all through high school and college, and that's how I paid for college, was as a lifeguard. So I understand why lifeguards and rec is important, but at this point in time, I don't support that in this kind of override. And I think the last time we had the override, when it got voted down, it was because people were concerned about how the money was going to be spent. Where was the money going? And was it going to places where the community felt was important? So while I don't understand a lot of these numbers, I do feel like that number for rec and lifeguard is so low on my priority list. I would rather see it go to, well, schools are my big priority, but after that, the library, and working for the VNA, I understand how important the Council on Aging is. So those are my 3 priorities: schools, library, Council on Aging. But tonight I'm here, and I want you to know that we want that library to stay open, and we want that library to stay certified. Here you go. And I hope you don't find me rude, but we're leaving after this.
It's okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Finley, you can walk by yourself. Oh, look at that, you drew pictures. Oh, you
Yours is the book. Thank you very much. Thank
you.
Thank you for coming out.
Mr. Chairman, if I could take 45 seconds.
Sure, go ahead.
It says here, Save Our Library by Emerson Kearns.
Yep.
Carnes.
Current.
It's actually written on a special state ballot. I don't know, Bob, if you can see that, it's kind of cool. Stephen Flynn was running against Ed Markey. It says the library has funny books, computers, and story hour. So why are you planning to close it down? And then she has a little box here. It says Joke Book by Emerson, Joke Book Computer. And there's all kinds of pictures of kids. That's pretty cool, huh? So very nice job, young lady. Where are you? Bye. See you later. And I'll give these to Patrick to put in the record.
My name is Diane Murphy, and I'm in Precinct 1. I'm going to be very brief because the Friends of the Library and the previous speaker were so eloquent. But I just want to, again, urge support of the library. It's astounding that with a director and 4 full-time staff members, they serve an average of 500 people every day that they are open. And not only is there services to the children of the town, but so many clubs meet there on a daily basis. There's at least 1 or 2 clubs meeting at the library. The book club, of which I'm a member, and we've been meeting for over 20 years. And I don't know where we'll go if the library closes. The quilting club meets there, the Wareham Gatemen, the Boy Scout registration's held at the library. There's a coffee club, Wareham Memories Club, many, many more clubs meet at the library. And there's not a day that goes by that there's not some group there. So I just am urging you to consider keeping the library open. It's just inconceivable that we would be the only town in the state of Massachusetts without a public library. So it's just my comments, and urge you to consider them. Thank you.
Thank you. Library? Last one for library, then.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Hi, Arlene Malloy. The library is so vital to the whole community, ageless, but we have a school system that's suffering. My daughter just graduated from Wareham High, but people like Mrs. Hickey that molded and shaped her. She could not get enough books, so that secretaries were given her gift cards to Borders, which we lost. And Mrs. Hickey and other people have gone out of the way to provide this girl that couldn't get enough. She'd read a full novel in a day, and they still do when she comes home from college. And so many of her friends that have gone off to college have accessed our library. To lose a minute, 3 days, you know, they're open 3 days in Wareham and 2 in Onset, just to lose those 2 days hurts the community. Now, we need to educate our kids. And we need strong people. These people that work for the library on a shoestring, go in and experience what they do with the whole community. I'll go in with some bizarre thing and I'll have 2 words in the title, a part of a name, and you know what? They're right there, Jack on the spot. They know what's going on. But again, go sit in Mrs. Hickey's room on Story Day. Just see what happens. You cannot let this go. The extra $100,000 is nothing. You have to give this to our children, our elderly, and the people in between. It's not just about the groups. You know, they need this. And to take a library out of a community our size is absolutely unacceptable. It's wrong. So I think that, and you know, I understand the override and whatnot, but all of you should be behind this. You have children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews. How can you take something so vital? It's the pulse of the community. And you need to do this. You need to make it work. You know, how could you live with yourselves taking something so out of, it's just a wrong thing. Break for the money. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen participation on anything else? No?
Excuse me, do I have to do this?
No, it's already there. Is this going to be again in the library, sir?
Yes.
If you, I'm sorry to rush you, but we need to get on. Appreciate it.
Apparently, this is a popular issue. I'm David Evans from Onset, Precinct 3, and I'd just like to, you've heard a lot already tonight, but I'd like to give my strong support, my first visit to a meeting here, and because this is important to me, and it's important to an awful lot of people who I see at the library every day, that the place is busy. So I would support your adding proper funds to the override, which is its own problem, but that the override should certainly plan on keeping the library going. Even if we keep it open for a couple of days a week, if it loses its state certification, it becomes a lot less of a resource because we're cut off from the rest of the Commonwealth. So I urge you to support the library to its proper level of funding. Thanks.
Thank you for coming up. Mr. Tropiano, next item on the agenda.
All right, consent agenda. We're going to move on to authorization to sign bills. We have none.
I think you do.
No, well, we have, that's in a separate line item.
Okay,
Richard
never mind.
Bowen's bill's in a separate line item.
Ignore
We'll
me.
get to that. Okay, so I have minutes from, first one I have is the date of the meeting, April 1st, 2014. You'll all see them in your packet there.
I'll move that the April 1st, 2014 minutes be approved as presented.
Second.
That's wrong.
Motion by Mrs. Whiteside, second by Mr. Titlebaum. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
All right.
401.
Next set of minutes I have are March 25th, 2014.
I move that they be accepted as presented.
Motion by
Second.
Mrs. Whiteside, second by Mr. Holmes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500.
Okay, next we have executive session minutes from March 25th, 2014. I asked somebody to move approval
And
and
hold.
hold.
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Whiteside, second by Mr. Holmes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500.
Okay, and we have one bill this evening from Attorney Richard Bowen. It is for professional services from 2/21/14 through 3/20/14, and it is for $15,000.
Move payment of
Second.
that.
Motion by Mrs. Whiteside, second by Mr. Holmes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500.
Okay, next on the agenda is
Mr.
license and
Ch-
permits.
Yeah, Mr. Tropiano, if you want to pass the minutes, then I think I have to sign those.
You do.
We're still under when I was clerk.
Next on the agenda is license and permits. We have Buzzards Play Productions for 4 one-day wine and malt beverage licenses.
Hi, good.
Good.
How are you?
Hi, my name is Frank Rogers. I represent Buzzards Play Productions, and I'd like to get 4 permits.
You want to tell us what's going on as usual?
Sure. The 18th is it's going to be live music, but there's also supposedly a bake sale, and it's got to do with donating money for this young girl, Renee Levesque. I believe that's how her
Levesque.
name is pronounced.
Levesque.
Levesque. Well,
Levesque.
these kids are trying to put together some money for her kidney transplant. That's on the 18th. The 19th, I have a mentalist who is pretty entertaining. And on the 25th, he's returning again. On the 26th, we're doing a Frank Sinatra impersonator. And I'd also like to say thank you very much for all the people that came for the last play we just ran, The Foreigner. It was pretty successful.
I want to point out that the application is for April 18th,
April 18th, 19th,
19th, 25th, and 26th.
Correct.
You didn't say the month, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
And the tips are in order and all of
Yes,
the
they
paper.
are.
Yep.
Tips,
Everything's in place.
insurance, I
Yep.
have everything right here, yep.
And
So-
I'd also like to tell you that we received our first grant.
Your first what?
Grant. We got a grant from the Institute of the Arts of Cape Cod.
Congratulations.
Nice.
Outstanding.
Good job.
So we're kind of happy. It seems like the ball's going in the right direction.
I'll move the,
1 second.
Yep.
Did we resolve the issue about entertainment?
yes,
With an
Yes.
entertainment license?
yes.
We did? Okay.
Yes, we did.
All right.
It's all set.
Okay, good.
Move the approval of April 18th, April 19th, April 25th, and April 26th as presented by Buzzards Play Productions.
Second.
Motion by
For a
Mrs.
one-day-
Whiteside.
Sorry,
Go
for a
ahead, finish up.
one-day liquor permit.
Motion by Mrs. Whiteside, second by Selectman Holmes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstain? 500.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck. Thank you.
Okay. Good sign that. All right, next we have application for
Buzzards
Walk
Bay.
for Hunger from the Church of the Good Shepherd.
Okay. You got a Buzzards Bay in front of that?
It's all right. He's just going in order.
No, it was down a couple, I didn't see it. on the thing.
Okay.
We'll get it next.
Never mind.
Church of the Good Shepherd, is somebody here from them?
We'll hold
She getting it?
Okay, you want to hold that, or you want to?
No,
Hold it.
that's a standard walk they do for hunger every,
Okay,
they've done it for a couple of years. We should go ahead and do that. There's no reason to hold that.
okay.
Everything's in place.
I will move the approval for the use of town roads submitted by the Church of the Good Shepherd for Project Bread on Sunday, May 4th, 2014, from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. And I note that all of the department heads that have been required to sign off have signed off.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Whiteside, second by Selectman Holmes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? 500.
Okay, next I have an application for Buzzards Bay Brewing for a one-day wine and malt beverage license.
Mr. Brady? Patrick, there was a couple things I made a note on the side that were missing. They were brought into, they were,
And the, no tips and no insurance binder copy.
right.
The
And that
tips did come in.
did come in later in
Well,
the,
we'll
later in the
look at
day.
It did come in. We were notified
Oh,
by
it's up in the
email.
office,
Yep,
okay.
thank
It's in
you.
the office.
All right, and how about the insurance binder? I don't see that
Sheriff's
in
binder
here.
was also coming.
It's coming?
They actually got it today at the office.
All right,
They
good.
did,
All right,
yes.
then you're all set.
I was there when they did it.
Then that's good.
What does one serve with oysters?
Whatever you can eat.
No.
It's a dangerous question.
Yeah. To each his own.
Yeah.
You wanna read this?
Usually,
That's a
Bloody,
great
Bloody
question.
Marys usually go very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wine, champagne.
Yeah, bubbly, beer.
I'll start by introducing,
Please,
I'm Bob Brady, the newly elected president to the Wareham Village Association. With me, I have Bill Russell, who owns Westport Vineyards and Buzzards Bay Brewery out of Westport. We
Nice to
met
meet you.
Bill by chance because, believe it or not, when our dear friend Mr. Richard Whaler was doing his kayak paddle in the Westport River, we ventured throughout the town and find the vineyards, and we've been a member ever since, if you will. When we, the association, decided we'd like to exploit a couple of things in Wareham, that be it both our restaurant industry together with our shellfish resource, we decided in that we weren't going to do a Swan Festival this year because of the 2014 celebration, that we would engage in an effort to bring the first ever oyster festival to Wareham. In that effort, we contacted Bill, asked him if he would like to somehow participate, provide beer and wine for both our gala event, which will be on Friday, the 25th of April, together with the festival itself, which you're all aware of and have approved the permitting, and thank you for that Sunday. So Bill and his companies have agreed and have applied for the approval of one-day alcohol, beer and wine for both the gala that evening on Friday and the festival on Sunday.
I will move the application for a one-day liquor permit to Buzzards Bay Brewing, 98 Horse Neck Road, Westport, Mass, for April 25th, 2014. And the location of the event is the Old Toby Hall, 75 High Street, Wareham, Mass.
Second.
And the hours between 7 and 9 p.m.
Second.
5 and 9.
Actually,
Five.
yeah, it's 5 to 9
5
on
to
the-
9.
on the Friday
Sorry.
evening. And the festival itself, as approved by you, is also that Sunday, so it's a weekend event, starting Friday through Sunday, which will run 11 a.m. to 4 p.m.
So the
But-
second on the motion, so whenever you're ready.
We already proved that one, though, right?
We approve the festival. We just need the approval from the licensing authority to provide beer and wine for the same.
For the one day.
Well, okay.
Well,
We're calling it an event. You can call it a one-day or a weekend,
I'm sorry, but the date of the event is listed 4/25.
okay?
So that's the one day that we're talking about.
Well, I have to admit, I hadn't seen the application. Our conversations, and Bill, we can speak to that. As I read the law, it's encouraged that the permitting be approved actually for a 4-day period for the distribution, storage, et cetera. And we were just incorporating all of that into a one application.
It's not what's in front of us,
It's
sir.
not what's
Hang on.
Okay.
on the application.
Okay.
What are the
Well,
dates?
then I would ask,
So do you want-
Chairman,
then I would ask then
Mr.
if we could
Chairman.
modify.
Wait.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
Hold on a
That's you
second.
now, Alan.
Sorry, spacing out
Mr.
here.
Brady, what is the date of the event that you need? 4/25 and 4/26?
4/25 and 4/27.
4/25 and
Yeah,
4/27.
so I would ask that we amend the application to reflect the event, the whole festival is running, the whole week, actually,
That's 2 one-day licenses.
which,
Yeah,
That's 2 one-day licenses.
Okay.
Okay.
And unfortunately, there's been no notification, right? We're gonna need
Right.
town council on this.
We can do this, and
Well-
would you also supply?
can we ask town
Chairman.
council?
Just a question, please. Bill, are you serving also on the 27th?
We've been asked to serve on the 27th, yeah.
I get
We're
it.
willing and ready to do that.
Rich, I believe we're gonna need a separate application, because the application in front of us with the sign-up from all the different parties is only listing the 25th, the 27th. Where is the location gonna be on the 27th?
well, you permitted us, you just sent our permit in the mail. It's been approved to
For the festival?
close off, correct. It
Right.
is the festival.
But this is the liquor license part, which is different, I believe. I think they have to actually apply, because the sign-off isn't for the liquor.
Yeah, I think if we just amend the date, and Mr. Privati, sorry, and
We'll
Mr.
make sure we can do it.
Brady provides the times on each day to this, we will just be fine.
It's the same event, if you will.
I know, I understand.
And if you don't mind, I would ask your permission to amend the application to reflect both
You
as
just
one
have to
event.
cover the times,
Which
Bob.
we
Right.
don't have a problem
On
with.
each
We're just
day.
gonna make sure we can do it, that's all. As long
Okay.
as we can do it, I don't think we have a
All
problem.
right, well, if,
Can you just
while
wait?
he's, while he's,
Subject to the date changes, she can make the motion and the
For the
times.
record,
We
I
need
would-
to know what the times are.
for the record, I would add that the date change would include Sunday, the event as well, the festival itself, which would run from, the actual festival is running from 11 to 4, but we're suggesting that serving only be allowed between 12 and 3.
So it's 5 to 9 on the 25th.
Correct.
On the 26th, it would be.
12 to 3.
27th.
27th. That would be the Sunday.
What about the Saturday?
There is
Nothing going
Oh,
on
nothing
Saturday.
Saturday.
No.
I thought you
12 to
said
what
for the
time?
entire event.
We're going to
12
sleep
3.
all day Saturday.
12 to 3, right?
And 12 to 3 on the 27th.
Yes.
And
Thank
the
you.
location on the 27th is going to be?
27th is, as you've approved, we're blocking off Main Street. The actual location of his vending would be likely, we have music scheduled for Pizzoli Square, and he would likely be within that confine. There was some discussion between us about whether or not there needed to be any roped off, but the fact that we are barricading Main Street and approved for that festival, for that space, we think that barricade should suffice.
I'm sorry to make life difficult. Mr. Bowen, are we allowed to do something like that? That's liquor outside, even though it's roped off, it's still public. I'm sorry to make this hard, Bob, but.
No,
just a
I don't
couple
think you are.
questions. I did- if I
Legitimate
had-
questions.
If we had realized it was 2 days, he would have caught it, because I looked at this today and I only saw the 1 day.
Okay.
And I don't think the insurance binder covered more than the 1 day.
So
We would have to add that.
Okay.
Yeah, we'd have to add that.
Well, with your permission, Mr. Chairman, a couple issues. If it's just a question of amending the dates and adding another date, I think you can do that, notwithstanding the fact that it says 1-day liquor permit. Really, the statute, the correct phrase is not 1-day license. The way it's described in the statute is a special license, which can be issued for up to 30 days per year. So, 1-day liquor permit is just kind of shorthand for what it really is. So there's nothing wrong with approving the extra day. A special license doesn't require notice to abutters, so that's not an issue. There was mention of sign-offs, and I can't tell right from the face exactly what sign-offs are required. That is not necessarily a problem. You could approve the application as amended, and make the actual issuance of the permit contingent on providing the necessary updated insurance binder, and whoever else has to sign off, make it contingent on getting all the sign-offs in place. That way, you're done here. It's up to the applicants to come forward and get all that other stuff, and once they provide it to your staff, then they get their permit. If they don't provide it, then they don't.
But the question remains that you're asking to, the Pizzoli Square is actually town property, am I correct?
All of Main Street is town property.
Well, so you're talking about serving liquor in what I call Pizzoli Square parking?
Well, the actual booth, the vending booth, would probably likely be in front of Pizzoli Square. The reason I said near Pizzoli Square, because I know, at least speaking for myself, that if I'm gonna get a glass of wine or a glass of beer, I might like to wander in front of the band and listen while I sip, sort of thing. I think we're adequately protected by the permitting of the use of Main Street as blockaded as per the permit approved, that nobody can go beyond that and have alcoholic beverage. That's a state law. I mean, and that's subject to local enforcement and so forth. If it needs further parameters, I guess that's up to you all to condition the same. I'm not certain it does, but I'm not the attorney.
Mr. Bowen, through you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the board, I'll offer up a suggestion. Ordinarily when you license an event, you're licensing a particular described premises. And I really don't want to make this more difficult than it needs to be, but it would probably be very useful for all concerned, and I think that your insurer would want to see something like this, to actually attach to the application a description of the area that will be roped off and used, so that liability and crowd control and all those things are very carefully defined. I think that's probably very important. And then since this is going to be on public property, and I've offered this recommendation many times before when it comes to the use of public property, I think would be well served by seeing not just the liquor indemnity agreement, which is signed, although I can't quite make out who signed it, which I suppose could be troubling. But I think we would also want to see an insurance binder that named the town as an additional co-insured for everything that arises out of it. These are routine things. I'm sure your insurer probably is very familiar with it. So my recommendation sincerely would be, while this sounds like a great amount, would be to get those things in place and just have it all put together as a package before you vote on it.
Mr. Holmes?
Well, Houston, we now have an issue. We just passed a policy a few weeks ago about alcohol on town property. I think we said there would be none. We've turned down people before in Onset for having alcohol in the park there because it's on town property. And I guess I'm not sure what the fence is or the rope is. Is the rope so that people would only consume the beer and wine inside the rope? Or would people be free to walk down Main Street?
Well, the application we put before you, which you have acted on, blockades Main Street from Irene's Flower Shop
Right.
down to just before the fire station.
That's for the festival.
Correct.
Right.
Well, that's what we're amending. Well, within the gala, which is on the Friday evening, that will all be on premise. That's not on public property at that point.
No, we have no issue, Bob, with the 25th.
Okay, so then back to your
This
question.
is the liquor piece.
Right.
Yeah.
27th.
I understand that.
We haven't
So on the
approved any
27th
liquor on Main Street yet.
No, I
We
know that. That's
approved the
app-
festival.
Right.
Right.
So the festival
Street
has been
closure.
approved for its activities, all of them, vendors, music. We're now applying for the allowance, if you will, of beverages, wine and malt, for that day within those same parameters. Now, we have met with the police chief, and we've met with the fire chief, and we're all coordinated on the same page, and all of that space within Main Street is part of the festival. So beyond that, you're correct, that you cannot drink on public lands beyond that. You obviously have the option to choose to support the application or not within those confines, those blockades, which is only for that period of time on that day.
I'm going to try
I will-
one motion at a time.
I will try and make a suggestion before we go any farther, rather than get confused. I'm sorry, it's a tough day for my first day here. I would suggest that we go ahead with the 4/25 date, which is in order, and
Right.
bring back next week the 4/27 date and get everything we need in front of
No.
us to make sure we can or can't do it.
I think,
May, through you, town council?
I have a way to handle it.
No.
You guys wanna wait?
Well,
Well, with your permission, I'm looking at Peter. Sorry, Alan. With your permission, Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I just without wanting to make this more onerous, I just respectfully request that you take the time to get a drawing, a diagram, something that shows exactly where the liquor would be served.
that's for the 27th, sir. But
Okay,
we can move the motion, I think, for the 25th
Just so I understand it, where's the one on the 25th going to
in
be?
the old
The old
Toby
Toby
Hall.
Memorial
Okay, yeah.
Library.
Okay.
Toby
Yep.
Library.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry, thank you.
okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
fine.
so-
We know what that is.
The application, everybody understand, the application we have in front of us is for the 25th only. So
Thank
at this point here, I'd be a lot more comfortable taking the extra week.
Okay, I'm going to try it
Thank you.
again.
And you said we should ask her insurance buyer to name the town as
Additional color.
I'm going to move that Buzzards Bay Brewing be awarded a license, a special liquor license, is that what
One
you're talking
day.
about?
One
Yeah,
day.
one-day license for Friday, April 25th, from 5 to 9 p.m. to be held at Toby Hall, 75 Main Street, Wareham, Mass. Period.
And I'll still second that motion.
Motion by Mrs. Whiteside, second by Mr. Holmes. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 5-0-0.
Thank you.
I'll put this back on the agenda for next week on the other piece.
Okay.
We'll need to have all the paperwork.
So you want a separate application
Separate
for
application
the
with all the
27th?
paperwork, sign off. I'm a
Okay.
little concerned, just to understand that normally they don't allow, drinking of liquor on public streets except with the police. I'm not sure it's clear, so let's make sure it's clear.
Okay.
Thank
And,
you.
and know that we have police detail within our confines as
No,
well.
I understand.
Do we need to, I'm not sure if council is preferring that within the confines, the blockade of Main Street, do we need to identify specifically within that parameter where the vendor,
No.
Bill and company will be? Or
Normally, there should
is it
be.
okay within the confines of the blockade?
I
You
don't-
tell me.
I'm going to say without being 100% sure, but from my experience before, normally you have to have a set location that has to be, controlled, et cetera.
Yep.
Because
Mr.
the liquor really isn't supposed to leave a particular area and just go down, walk
So
down
you-
the street
Yeah,
with it.
Mr. Chairman, this is one of these times I wish I wasn't a lawyer, because it sounds like a lot of fun.
It would be.
But my concern is just having people wandering up and down the street with cups of beer or whatever, and, you have to have a defined license area, and the ABCC is going to want you to have a defined license area. And to the extent that you can move the defined license area onto private property, it would certainly make your town's attorney happier.
So confine it within the confines of the festival itself is what you're suggesting? So identify specifically within the blockade where he will be located.
Yeah, it can't be like, if not that I've been, but
we're talking about
like you
100
you
yards.
get on Mardi Gras or something, and people will wander around the street with.
Well, it wouldn't be like that.
We're all set for now. Why don't, if you want, why
Well,
don't you go back outside?
There is no blockade.
It's not going to be like that?
We
I'm
grant
disappointed
the
now.
use.
Like Mardi Gras?
I'm disappointed now.
Hold on, everybody, please, calm down here. Why don't- If you
okay,
two could go outside with Mr. Bowen for a minute and you get what you need.
I think,
Mr.
Mr. Chairman,
Bowman.
I think that the term blockade, even though we allow use, it's still town property.
It's
Right.
always town property.
It is.
So it's not like we're, for the weekend, giving the property away to somebody else.
I
And
realize
we still
that.
have policy issues that deal with liquor or alcohol on town property.
Right, and you have approved the festival.
Oh, right,
Within
yeah,
the
the festival's
blockade.
not an issue.
I'm just asking.
Oh, blockade, that's
Do we
a-
need, okay, so
there's no-
blockade, call
we
it
s-
what you want.
It's still town property.
Right, and we have parameters approved for the festival itself, with effectively exclusivity for that period of time, from 10 to 3.
That's not an issue.
Right.
The issue
So I'm
is
asking,
liquor
do we,
is the issue.
I recognize, I just want to
Okay.
be clear, do we need to confine further within the confines of the festival permit? Okay, that's all.
Mr. Town Council's going to speak with you in the hall about exactly what you need
All right.
for next week. Mr.
Thank you.
Brady, thank you.
Thank you. Sorry to make life
Thanks.
difficult. Mr. Tropiano, why don't we let the policies and stuff, we'll let it go to the end.
Okay,
We have a lot of stuff to get through.
all right. Okay, you want to do the town meeting next, or do you want to move to something else? Is there something you had in mind you want to move to?
No, I think we need to get the town meeting warrant articles done, because we have to have them done for tonight, for tomorrow, for publication.
Okay,
Get what we
so
can
we'll go
there.
to,
Then we'll
we'll
do
go
the budget.
to conclude favorable action votes on town meeting warrant articles.
You can bring it up when you discuss the
8B.
continued discussion of the budget.
On that, or do we do that on?
Okay, what we haven't voted on so far is 6, 7, 9, 13, 14, and 20.
I'd ask that we do number 14 first, which is the cemetery sales. 18 first.
No, we've already done all the special town meeting.
Special was concluded.
We concluded. No.
Thanks.
This is
Cemetery sales is the only one we have outstanding now.
cemetery sales is 14.
With
And
Was this the issue of, Ms. Miller, was this the issue of spending money to repair the building at Center Cemetery?
No, this was, we were asked to return to discuss.
Could you use the
hiring
mic, please?
part-time students.
Can you use the microphone, please?
Sure. David?
come on down, you're the next contestant.
No, we've already done those. All we have, again, all we have outstanding right now is on the regular town meeting, not the special, is Article 14, cemetery sales. I think
Okay.
that had to do with the question that we had on the dollar amounts. I believe we had the repair of the roof from the building, and there were things were changed on that. It was a capital item, Derek, yes, no?
Yeah, but we had moved that to the special town meeting, so they're going, on the floor, will reduce this article because the special town meeting will take care of the repairs of that, because it's requiring, we've created another article on that, which will satisfy the capital vote.
Okay, do we have that article, or is that article being written?
No, that article's in the special town meeting
All right,
warrant.
then, as far as I know, we've gone through all the specials.
We have.
So we're fine there. The only one that we have left is whatever's left of the original town meeting for Article number 14.
Right, we have no numbers.
We had no numbers. I think that's why you held off at the time, Patrick.
Yeah, at the time, we didn't have any numbers.
Article 14, I believe, was 122,000. We went through that at the last time we were here.
They've got it wrong.
The only thing we did not discuss was the 15,000 for the part-time workers from the Upper Cape in the work-study program.
Is that included in the 122, or is that added to the 122?
No, that is not included in the 122 because that is on the special warrant, so that they could be used this year if we fund this.
Okay,
Hold on a second.
so we
And I
already-
guess what they've done now is moved the 90,000 for the building over to special as well. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I believe Mr. Sullivan has done. Article 14, cemetery sales. To see if the town will vote to transfer from receipts reserved from appropriation of sales of cemetery lost and graves the sum of $122,000 to be expended by the cemetery commission for the care, improvement, embellishment, or enlargement of town cemeteries, subject to the approval of the Board of Selectmen.
Article 18 on the special town meeting provides $15,000 for the commissioners to work with the maintenance department to provide temporary part-time positions. But that's what you're thinking that you're here to talk about, which is,
No.
no.
The 15,000 is not included in that 122. The 15,000 is a separate article, Article 18 on the special warrant.
Which is what I just read into the record.
Yes, that's what I gave you this evening,
Yeah.
because that's the only thing we haven't discussed.
No, we've already voted on that.
Yeah.
Did you vote favorably on that?
Yes, we did.
Yeah,
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
Thank you.
yeah, we already
I'm
did
sorry.
this,
So
Okay.
what we have left here again is Article 14.
which is
We
the
were gonna take a
122.
portion of that out, I believe, Derek. Can you put it on a special town meeting?
Yeah, that would be.
Remember, we had 45, then it was 90. We questioned that, and we never had numbers, so we had not voted on it yet, so we needed an explanation of what was the balance out of the 122, what it was covering. We had no information at the time.
We didn't break that down, the balance at all, on that, as far as.
Well, if
We
you-
didn't have it because
Derek,
we had a question on
How much are you
capital.
moving to the special for the garage?
You had requested $90,000.
Right,
for
so
that.
you're moving that amount to the special?
Right, you would have to reduce the annual town meeting article from the total amount that was in there by $90,000. Because
Okay.
originally the thought had been 45,000. As soon as you went over the 50,000 limit, it was a capital item.
Right.
And that article is no longer sufficient. So you have to move it, we create an article in the special town meeting warrant to cover $90,000, so you could actually do what you wanted.
You're a sweetheart, thank you.
What
So
we-
can you, for the
what we need
record?
to- What we need to do
Yeah.
is we need to explain what the $32,000 is so we can vote.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
The first one would be $10,000 for headstone repair. Second one would be the survey at Agawam Cemetery Annex for 10. Another 5,000 was materials as needed. Another 5 was for signage and public notices. And the other 2,000 was for office equipment, folders.
I remember him talking about the folders and stuff.
Yeah,
Remember
we
that? when
questioned
you
the use of
mentioned
that.
Remember that?
Yes.
Any questions by the board?
No, I move that we approve
Favorable.
favorable action on Article 14, and the number today, right now, is
$32,000.
$32,000.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Whiteside, second by Mr. Tropiano. Any questions? None heard. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstain? 500. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Sorry for the misunderstanding.
Oh, that's all right, thank you. That goes in your file.
Okay,
Dave, thank you
so,
for coming, I appreciate it.
Mr. Sullivan, you want to do the budget one now?
Why don't we do the
Grab
high
the
school
school.
project roof, get that out of the way?
Do we have numbers for the roof now?
I believe-
Yes. Yeah,
Okay,
they're
all
here.
right, good.
They have a presentation for us.
All right, so let's sing while we're,
Well, let's eat peeps.
or we can eat peeps or something. Well, okay, here, never mind, here they come.
Okay, lights,
Action.
Good evening.
as in
Somebody turn the light bank on that side off back there,
Swett,
please.
Could you turn the lights
Mike,
up,
can you
please?
kill the lights back there?
Thank you.
Just that one side. There you go, thank you.
That's the balance measure. What do you want?
Thank you, Mr. Sweat.
Go ahead, don't, I'm just playing
Okay.
around.
Good evening. We would like to show you a short video that highlights the condition of the high school roof and why we are asking for the approval to place it on town meeting for the, to fund the project.
Hi, I'm Kim Schaefer, the superintendent of Wareham. The saying, a picture's worth 1,000 words, so we think the video is worth 2,000 words. We would like to show you the condition of the high school roof and why it's so important that we receive the approval of the town at town meeting to replace our roof. It's what, 25 years old, Mr. Palladino?
25 years old, and the average lifespan for a roof similar to this with the ballast is 20 years. And what you're going to see is you're going to see over 1,000 patches throughout the roof. You'll also see areas where the holes have actually gone into the insulation, and hopefully we get a chance to show you some of the slides of the damage that's been caused to the inside of the building as a result of the infiltration of the water through this roof membrane and into the second floor, and unfortunately also down into the first floor of the high school. You can see a seam here. The seam is starting to pull away. You can actually see right from here where it actually an old patch that's probably come up. And you can see it just starts pulling away and shrinking over time. I'll show you in a minute. We'll replicate what we have with top on here. We'll actually have no valves. They'll be mechanically fastened to the existing roof. And if there ever was a leak, we'd be able to identify the leak right away. We'll have to shovel hundreds of pounds of rocks and hope we don't pierce that membrane. The cost is basically, it depends on when this occurs. I believe we're came up to maximum of 2.7 million in the cost. And obviously, by installing this in the fall, we're hoping the cost will be substantially less than that to save the taxpayers and ultimately the school department as well a lot of money by putting up a brand new roof with at least a 20-year warranty.
And I'd like to turn it over to Mr. McMillan to give you some particulars.
Good evening. So the request is for funding as part of our acceptance onto the Massachusetts School Building Authority accelerated repair program, and so we have submitted our initial feasibility study to the program and been accepted onto that program subject to a successful town vote. And as part of that, we get a return of 68% reimbursement on the cost of the project. So at the moment, our total estimated cost is $2,708,922, and that reflects all the contingencies and the maximum possible cost. And we hope it will come in significantly below that, as the principal mentioned there. But I think this is a great opportunity because the 68% reimbursement rate that we've secured with MSB is the highest that we've seen of any district getting, and it makes what would be otherwise unaffordable a project a real possibility.
Before we start any questions, Mr. Sullivan, can you explain some of the breakout for expenses for the town? How this is going to work?
The actual cost to us would be in FY 2016. So when we have it within the budgets that you see, you'll see it under other budget articles. I think we based it off of the numbers in there. We based off of about 2.2 or 2.3 million dollars of the cost there. So if you look inside the budgets, it would be that's where you would see it. But again, it would not be in effect to the town until FY 2016.
In 2016 and later, how are we going to pay for that on our share?
I don't understand our share of the question.
We have to pay 32%, correct?
The town as a whole?
Yes.
Yes, we would be budgeting it. We've got it within the budget.
That's what. Questions from the board, please? Mrs. Whiteside?
It was nice to recognize my old classroom with the walls sloughing off paint, and I'm sorry you didn't have a picture of the wastebasket. I've actually been on that roof. Don't ask me why. Well, no, I'll tell you why. I was taking yearbook pictures. It's a very, very, very old roof, and it leaks all over the place. Trust me, it needs to be replaced, and it needs to be replaced 2 years ago. Not now, but let's get it done.
Thank you.
Mr. Tropiano?
No, I know that these types of roofs, I know a little bit about them and how they work, and we have some issues around here. We have things called seagulls around here, which are a terrible detriment to that kind of roof. I just want the baseballs that are collected up there. If I can have those, that'd be great.
No, do you want the soccer balls too? Do you want the soccer balls
There's
too?
a lot of baseballs get on that roof. No, it's time to do it. Let's just do it.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's always great to have projects and let's get them done and blah, blah, but the two big questions are, what's the cost? And we just heard $2-point-something million. There's a potential of 68% reimbursement, and I didn't quite catch the details in your end, so that was kind of quick. I don't like quick answers. If 2015 is dire, 2016 would be worse. And what was that number again? You said you budgeted for this in 2016?
Yeah, in 2016, the cost, if the total cost of the project, and that was the original amount that we had was approximately 2.2, I think, or 2.3 million. Our 32%, if we borrowed for 10 years, with the interest rates on that about would be less than this, but conservative estimate is 3.5%. First year's payment would be $91,520.
So 91,000 would be in 2016.
Yes.
And do you have to pay this money up front to get the reimbursement?
Yeah. So basically, it works as we pay as we go, and then we submit receipts effectively back to the MSB to have our the reimbursement.
But you're not budgeting the 2 point. You're just budgeting the annual payments
Right.
on the 32%.
Yeah, you'd do a band, so you do temporary borrowing on the whole project.
Yeah.
The interest on that, I mean, you're probably talking about $2,000, maybe $3,000 at the most.
And has this been figured in as part of your regular budgeting? This has nothing to do with overrides and fairy tales, right? This is real town budget.
We did the 5-year projection. It's in the regular budget, so the balanced budget, and it's in the contingent appropriation budget as well.
That's what I want to know. Thank you.
Mr. Titlebaum?
It's time to get this done before a $2.2 million problem turns into a $5 million problem.
I will
Any other questions? I'll take a motion.
move favorable action on Article number 13 for the annual town meeting.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Whiteside, second by Mr. Tropiano. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Ms. Hood, after, you're an onset person now. After April 1st, I don't know when that was taken, but after April 1st, you're not allowed to wear winter jackets like that. You're from onset now.
Yeah, it was a very cold day, I will tell you.
And after the 15th of April, no more jeans or long pants, it's all shorts, sandals, right?
Yeah,
Okay. Till October 15th, so you have that whole period.
All right.
Okay.
Okay,
On Article number 20, I'll ask the board to basically vote to pull that article since we don't have enough paperwork in place. That's for the street acceptance. Unfortunately, they haven't got all the paperwork in.
So, under this weirdo way that we make
you
motions.
turned down favorable action, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
This is pulled.
You vote negative on a favorable action vote, and then there's a motion at town meeting to pull it.
Yeah,
Fine.
we'll have to get up a town meeting to pull the article.
I move favorable action on Article 20.
second.
Thank you, Denise.
Seconded by Mrs. Whiteside.
Motion by Mr. Tropiano, second by Mrs. Whiteside. All those in favor? All those opposed?
Aye.
Abstain? 0-5-0.
All right, so we only have two things left, really,
First one we have is item number 6, which is the fiscal year 15 budget,
which is here.
the balanced budget.
Yep.
Mr. Sullivan.
And we have water pollution control after that.
Thank you. You should see the document. It's going to be both budgets together, front to back, on the sheets, draft Wareham, FY15 balanced budget. This is the balanced budget that you'd seen last time. There really has not been any changes to this document. So the total revenues that we'd be looking at for FY15 are $55,932,652, and your expenses would be the same.
Again, this is our balanced budget as required by the DOR as a balanced budget with the revenues we have. So this is our bare bones budget, correct?
Correct.
Any questions from the board?
Just have a comment. This budget has been worked on for several months by several people, by several boards and commissions. And I believe that Mr. Sullivan and Ms. Shaverhood have done a very good job of balancing the budget. And I'd like to compliment those of you who worked really, really hard on it. And then I'd like to make a motion for favorable action.
I'd like to say one thing.
Yep.
I want to point out that the balanced budget that's in front of you, or that will be in front of you, or that you have access to, I'm sure, on the website, is a devastating budget. I want everybody to know that. There is so much that this town has, so many things like libraries and seniors and municipal maintenance employees and police and all kinds of things that are not in this budget. We heard a big presentation from the library folks tonight that are just not in this balanced budget. And, you know, part of what makes a town and wants people to live in is part of its culture and what it does and what it reacts and how it takes care of its seniors and how it takes care of its libraries and how it takes care of all of its things. And we're not doing a very good job. Matter of fact, we're doing an awful job. And there is another way, and we'll be talking about it later, and I just think that people need to sit down and really think about if this is the way they want their town to be. Because I don't like it. I remember when there were 54 municipal maintenance workers and we got everything done all the time. We have 9. We know that the crime rate is rising all the time and we have fewer and fewer policemen all the time. We know that the library has fewer and fewer hours. We know the Council on Aging has less and less to work with. Everything is not good here. It's not the fault of everybody. I hate this when everybody tries to say, well, it's the bad management and bad this. It isn't really bad management. It's the fact that resources are being outstripped by the policies that came long before any of us. And I'm talking about the policies of health care, the policies of retirement funds that were set up for 2.3 years after retirement people lived. Now they live 20 or 30 years. This is just a devastating budget for this community. And if that's all we can pass in the end result at the end of this year, we should be ashamed of ourselves. That's all I want to say.
Mr. Holmes? No comment? Ms. Titlebaum?
I'll put a ditto under Patrick's remarks.
Yeah, man.
My only comment on this particular budget is this is something that we have to pass because we have to have something in place no matter what. If we don't have a budget in place, then basically we close July 1st. Go ahead.
I will make a motion for favorable action for the Article 6, which is the fiscal year 15 budget, balanced budget, which we must pass at town meeting in order for operations to continue after June 30th.
Second. From? Second. Motion by Mrs. Whiteside, second by Mr. Tropiano. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500. Favorable action. Next one is number 7, which is the Proposition 2.5 contingency supplement to the annual budget for the fiscal year 2015.
So if you look, you'll see the page, it's within the same packet, Wareham FY15 contingent appropriation, multi-year budget. Again, the revenues would be increased by $4.5 million. If you turn to the 5th page of that, that will give you a list of where the dollars would be going for the override.
Question?
You all set, Mr. Sullivan?
Yes, I was just making sure, double checking. And under the other budget articles, you'll see there as well, you'll see school, high school roof payment as well.
Mrs. Whiteside?
I think that's really important for people to understand basically what Mr. Tropiano just finished talking about. This article is going to go before the town meeting, hopefully, by a unanimous vote of the Board of Selectmen. And I also hope that it passes unanimously at the town meeting. I think it's important for us to invest in this town, invest in our future, and invest in today, because that's really what we're talking about. Even if you feel strongly that things have been run badly, I urge you to vote at the town meeting favorable action, because then the selectmen will vote to put this on a ballot question, and the residents of the town of Wareham, the voting residents, will have an opportunity to speak their mind. This adjusted revenue budget was created after I don't know how many hundreds of hours. It does not solve all of the problems. We understand that. But it is a beginning. And I think that we really have to recognize that this is a community that needs people to believe in it. Stop being part of the problem and start being part of the solution.
Mr. Tropiano?
We had some folks come in about the library. Did you talk to them about changing this budget at all?
When we started this budget process, the library was decertified. Since then, the Mass Board of Library Commissioners have changed their mind. I'm not going to get into that. I have some issues with them and how they've proceeded in all of this and the process. I would consider another mandate coming down from the state. And just one thing I'll make the statement about is that they said the town has received, I believe, 6 waivers. It's time the town paid its share and decided whether it really wanted a good library or not. And their figure's closer to 700,000, although they'll accept the 432. The message is confusing at best. However, in looking at the budget, the library director came to me and I'm actually forgetting the other woman's name.
John.
What's it?
John.
John. So, I'm sorry, I forgot her name at the moment. Came to me and explained what happened at the meeting. We spoke about it. Since then, I spoke with the school department because they've been our partner in this, in creating this budget. And they believe in a library as well. We also believe in the services that we've budgeted. So we tried to figure, how can we make this work? The only area that you'd be able to really pull from would be capital. I can't say it's the best option, but it is what gets us the library certified for FY15. So here's how the $432,835 would work. We have what's budgeted, the $124,839. You have $200,000 in the override budget. You have $30,000 revolving fund, which does count, which would leave $77,996. And in speaking with the school, we agreed that that number could be placed into the library budget and reduced from capital. So that's where it would change. Our option 2 would be to increase the revolving fund by $77,996 and see if the community would be able to support it that way.
Can you explain the mechanics of the revolving funds?
The revolving fund just sets the ceiling, but in another quirk of the formula, I guess you would say, it is counted towards the municipal appropriation, but it does not give the library money. It affords them the opportunity to raise that much money. So it wouldn't be a true budgeted dollars for them.
Questions from the board? Mr. Holmes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do-si-do and do-si-do. If you don't agree with me, you're part of the problem. Once again, here we sit. I don't. I've had some time to look over this in the last week or so. I don't support this contingent appropriation budget. I think that you can spend 2,000 hours working on something. If it still doesn't, if $4.5 million can address some of our operational structures that Mr. Trapiano just alluded to, $4.5 million, then you can spend 10,000 hours on it. It still doesn't help. You know, this does not address, without smoke and mirrors and playing games, the library. You heard all these people, everybody supports the library. And I just heard, where's the additional support come from? School department. After we're going to add all this money back to the school department in these lines, it's just, I don't like playing with rocks. We're going to give the library money, and we all support the library, as far as I can tell, and put it in the line. Don't stop moving rocks around on people. I've tried to, I'm trying to help here. But the more I hear rocks moving around, the more no votes you get. I've tried to, give my opinion to the board and to other boards who sat here a couple of weeks ago, that you basically have to go out and win an election to get this done. You don't do that by, you're part of the problem if you don't agree with me, and you certainly don't get it by moving rocks around. You want to put it in the line item, put it there, right? Don't stop moving things around. That just gives you more no votes. So I think that, town meeting, it's going to be interesting to see if this is discussed, how it's discussed, and then going forward, there is no guarantee that it goes to a ballot. That has to come before the Board of Selectmen for a vote. You can read tea leaves, but you can't make announcements that that's going to happen. I saw our town council cringe when that comment was made. So I don't support this today in its current form. And I think that, again, stop moving rocks, do the right thing, put it in the right line item, and then it's there, people can see it, because the way this currently stands, the library does not get certified, Patrick. It needs to be in black and white, I think, for people to support this. And I don't think moving rocks around for the library certification is a good game to play. The Council on Aging, same issue, Patrick, you know. If we're gonna put money in there to keep the Council on Aging floating, right, let's put it where it counts in here. If we have to take it from somewhere else in this document, then that's what you do. But you don't want to do this stuff moving rocks around and especially not by using words like revolving funds. We have enough slush funds, right? That's what caused a lot of mistrust and still does today. So let's not use a revolving fund to try to fix something. Let's just put it in here if we can, Derek. That's all.
Well, if it's $77,000, that's not a lot of money. But
Well, put it here then, Pat. What's wrong with having it right here?
Let's just get it done. I mean, let's just.
Put it here, in black and white for people to see.
You all set, both of you?
Yeah, I'm all set. Thank you.
I want to back up a little bit here. One of the issues here I have is the ever-shifting, moving targets that the state agency known as the Massachusetts Library Commissioners keep throwing at us. In January, of course, the waiver was originally presented. In February, they wanted local officials, including selectmen, to go up before them and essentially tell them why the library should be recertified. Selectman Slavin and I went up there. We spoke to them about budgeting. At that time, although you wouldn't know that from the most recent press release, we told them that there most likely was going to be an override article, that people were already working on one, that people were already trying to come up with the numbers for one, that the school department was working on it, the administrator was working on it. This was all laid out before them on February 6th, when we went up there at 10 o'clock in the morning, and it spoke to them probably for 45 minutes. In March, they voted to decertify us. They did this by way of press release. Now, I've been practicing administrative law in the state for 15 years. I've gone before conservation commissions, I've gone before zoning boards of appeals, I've gone to Boston for adjudicatory appeals, the whole 9 yards. Never in my life have I ever received a decision from a public body by way of a press release, okay? Number one. The second piece to all this is that they never told us in the press release what number they wanted to see. So Mr. Sullivan is sitting here trying to figure out a number to put in for the override, the $200,000 that you would see in there today, with no guidance from the state authorities that say, you're not paying enough, but they don't tell you how much. So, if you're wondering, Selectman Holmes is wondering about moving rocks today. We didn't know what goddamn rocks were until April 3rd when they sent out the latest press release. So, you know, this is what we've been stuck with from the state. I understand that they're also going to look at the possibility of looking at their entire funding process all over again. So here we are. We get a denial based on a mandate that you didn't spend enough, that doesn't tell you enough what to spend. You get something down that tells you what to spend, but then they say, but we're going to look and see if this whole thing makes any sense. I'm sorry. I don't understand how it is that the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners expects any municipality to figure out what the hell it is that they want. So I just have to get that on the record. Personally, I support funding the library to this new number, now that we finally have it, the $432,000. I would support amending this override budget, the line items to make that happen, whether that includes the $30,000 revolver or whether it doesn't. I think Mr. Sullivan has said he's got the $30,000 in the revolver and that should go in there. I don't like the idea of reducing the capital number that's in there. I do like the fact that the school stepped up and said that they would take a hit of the capital reduction as well. I think that's a very cooperative thing that they have done by indicating to Mr. Sullivan that they would do that. So what I would suggest is that if we're going to do this, we need to do it tonight. vote favorable action on it, get it the hell done, and off to the FinCom tomorrow. So whatever needs to happen here by way of an amendment to it before we vote, let's just figure out the technicalities of it and do it.
No, let's
No.
do it right now. Let's just put it in the line items. Let's just, I mean, we're talking, if we went with the whole amount, we're talking $100,000. If we go with, minus the, what do you call it, we're talking $77,000. So, Derek, you need to give us guidance on what you think, what you'd like to see in here.
Let's move the 77,996 from the capital line in the override breakdown and move that over to the library. I will, for a total of 277,996.
What's the line?
It would be, on this one, it would be G 236.
Mr. Sullivan, can you tell us what capital item is going to be?
Yeah, no, where's it coming from?
It's coming from G 232.
And that item covers what?
It's 77,000 what, Derek, exactly?
$996.
Okay. And it's going to, from here. 236. Okay.
All right.
How much do we need to fund the council of aging?
We have $100,000 in there, which will bring their total appropriation with the grant to $143,000.
How much do we need to fund the council of aging?
That will be more than appropriate to actually bring. Today, we have them funded from the town at, I believe, a little over $60,000. It will be an increase to them, will allow them to have more services, including some more of the nursing, visiting other items, make it, as they've said, even more vibrant. I appreciate everything they're doing for the seniors. With the limited funds they have, this can make them even better.
Move. Go ahead.
I was continuing my question.
Go ahead.
So with this 100,000 that's in G, we will have a fully funded council on aging. Director, office, staff.
Mike.
Your mic,
Your
Steve.
mic is not.
Your mic's off.
So continuing my question, with this 100,000 in this, I call it the fairy tale budget, but the 2.5 override, this 100,000 would fully fund our fully operational council on aging group that we have, director, clerical staff, all that,
No director, Steve.
just
I
like we
haven't-
did before.
I haven't anticipated bringing a director back.
Well, there's somebody managing it, and not Mrs. Green, not your secretary.
Mrs. Green hasn't been doing it for a while.
Understood.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a person there who's running it.
Yep.
So we would be staffed at the same level we were, say, a year ago.
Yeah, I would say we'd be above a year ago.
So there'd be no cuts to the council on aging.
Correct.
Actually, it would be a plus
Correct.
to the council on aging. What was the other thing you mentioned?
I move favorable action.
Before we do that, I have a couple questions.
What was
I
the other
thought it
thing you
was done.
mentioned? Oh,
No.
I'm sorry.
No,
For
that-
you to
I've
Mr.
been-
Trapiano. What were the other thing, two things you mentioned? You mentioned a couple other things, maintenance?
Yeah, the maintenance line's been taken care of. All the other lines.
All the other lines are
All the other
set.
lines have been taken care of.
Everybody-
now
That was
with
the
these
only one that
amendments-
was questionable, and that's why I wanted to get to that, because I wanted to make sure that we took care of that.
So the bottom line is the same. Is
The
that
bottom
correct?
line will be the same.
The request for the override or the revenue adjustment item.
It's 4.5 million.
Thank you.
Exactly the same.
Mr. Sullivan, couple questions since we're changing what we've all agreed to as of a week or so ago, which I have no problem because over the last 4 years, we've played with the budget until 1 hour before town meeting. So, and sometimes after. So I expect probably to see some changes. I'd like to see an explanation given to at least the board of what that $100,000 is gonna mean to the library as far as hours. I'm not gonna pick on anybody, but I felt that when the library closed down where they did, we never got an explanation of the time. So I'm curious to see what the $100,000 do in addition to the certification. Because, we need to have some explanation of what it's gonna be, because people have been complaining from day one about the hours, et cetera. We've asked about being open one night a week, changing things around, and I've heard that constantly, and that hasn't happened either. So, if we're gonna keep the same staff, what are we gonna be doing? What's the statuses of, the Spinney Library versus the main library, and how is that money gonna be spent?
We can get that for the board.
Okay, because we will have to answer that. Same thing for the Council on Aging. We need to explain what we're gonna be doing.
May
Any
I
other
just ask a
questions?
question? It's a point of order question, I think.
Go ahead.
So if we move favorable action, it's still a moving document, and if we
Yes.
want to change our mind on line item,
Can do it right before town meeting. if we-
Wonderful.
You can also do it at the time where we decide whether to put it on a ballot question, because at the ballot question, if you look at the state's guidelines for doing a 2.5 override, we will specify for the first year on the actual ballot where that money's going.
where the money would be
It's the
going.
only time we can do it is the first year.
Correct.
Actually, I don't think we can once town meeting votes it. They're the appropriating authority, and once they appropriate, I think
Yeah,
it's
usually if it
done, and
goes
we
the
just
other
put
way.
the figure in.
I think they just appropriate.
If you had an override election beforehand, you could. If you have it afterwards, I don't think you can.
Mr. Bowen, if we're gonna be asking for $4.5 million and we're showing approximately where it's gonna go, are we locked into that or not?
For the first year, you are.
I know the first year is the question I have.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, there are probably two different issues here at play. Number one, the Board of Selectmen votes to put the ballot question on. The ballot language is set by state statute, and it's very, very broad. It doesn't allow you to specify where the money's going to go. The actual specification of where the money will go will be done by means of the town meeting vote. So whatever budget gets voted. But the chairman is correct that that is binding only for the first year, and then in subsequent years, it becomes part of the overall tax base.
Right, so we will, by town meeting, we will have to have that dialed into whatever it's gonna be. There's no adjustment after that. Thank you.
I move favorable action on Article 7 with the change of moving from line 232, capital, $77,996, and moving it to line 236, library.
Second.
On the question.
Go ahead, Steve.
Mr. Chairman, a few minutes ago, I asked a question about the roof project. So I see that in the draft Wareham budget, Mr. Sullivan stated that he had it budgeted as part of that normal budgeting process, and I see that for 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19, and I asked if that was part of the 2.5 override budget, and he said no, but I do want to bring to his attention that it is on line 260, Derek.
Yeah, that's part of the balanced budget. That's not part of the override contingent.
It is, right here.
No.
91,520, unless I'm reading this wrong.
The override,
2016, it's in the,
yeah, the override budget is part of the, you're taking your balanced budget and then you're adding the overrides to it. So part of your balanced budget, nothing would change in your balanced budget when doing the override.
Balanced budget has the same
so,
figure in it.
let's go back to my original question then. If the override is voted no, there is no override. Today's money, there is no override. This money doesn't exist.
No, it does.
Except in people's wallets right now. Is this 91,520 and then the 89, the 87, the 85 over the next 4 years budgeted in your normal budget?
Yes.
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 There's two budgets in your hand right there.
I understand that part. I got this one, and then I got the 2.5 override.
Yeah.
It's got the same numbers in both.
What other line is it in, please, Mr. Sullivan?
If you look at G253, you'll see
Right.
the total amount is $4.5 million. You will then see number 255, other budget articles.
Okay.
This is stuff like the
Got
Upper
it.
Cape Cod Tech. That's things such as a high school roof.
Okay.
Those are in our budgets every single year, whether it would be a balanced or
Okay.
let's call it the override, but it's the same exact thing.
That's all I want is an explanation.
Yep.
So when people see it twice, they understand like I'm seeing it twice.
Yep.
What is that?
They're gonna, Steve, just, they're gonna see other things in there with the same number twice, that means there's been no addition. You'll have many items in the budget balance and the one with the override. They'll have the same exact number, the ones that will change, the ones
Yeah,
that
I'm just
money's
looking at
being
this
moved.
last page here.
I know. It's
And then,
it's
to
confusing.
follow up on Mr. Trapiano's comment, that in terms of this budget that you're about to vote, this contingent budget, that the only column that is set in stone is G. H, I, J, and K are what we think is going to happen.
It's what we're proposing.
Yeah,
and we're
just
going-
like any projected
Right.
budget.
So, and Mr. Bowen just agreed with Mr. Trapiano that this appropriation multi-year budget, the only thing that the taxpayers are guaranteed is that we're going to spend under column G what's in this document.
That's correct, because that's all we can.
Legally.
It's in the regular budget, it's regular
Money goes to general fund.
general fund. yeah.
Right,
Comes
so
to
nothing's
something,
to say that H, I, J,
Except
and
that we
K-
made a commitment to using those numbers.
Right.
The three boards have
mean
made that.
nothing,
The
really,
three
because-
boards
The
have
three
made that
boards have made the
commitment.
Well, I
commitment.
understand that,
Okay.
but it's not set in stone, and it's not mandatory, and they don't have to do that. Let's just, yes, the answer is yes.
The answer is yes, except
Okay.
that the three boards and the town administrator
I
and the
understand that
school
part.
administrator have all agreed to that budget
But
as they lay out.
it's not set in stone because you can't do that.
Well, hypothetically, we can't do it, except that we agreed to it, and we'd be hard pressed. We would be very hard pressed to turn around and say to the public that we agreed to something and then we reneged on it, because
Question
that
asked
could
and
be
answered.
problematic.
So then, according to this document, if I might just finish my final question.
ahead.
These are important questions,
Oh, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, because people need to know the facts. So, basically, by people voting yes to this, what, Article 7, right?
7.
We're now telling the taxpayers, by the three boards that you state, that our library is going to be funded and certified through 2019 unless the state raises the bar so high that it goes outside of these budget numbers.
Correct.
That's correct.
And we're also saying that we're, with this 2.5 override, we are going to fully fund our Council on Aging for the years 2015, 16, 17, 18, and 19, if people approve this.
We can't say that as a matter of state law, because we can't appropriate money in 16, 17, 18, and 19.
I said the commitment.
The commitment, yes.
Is what he's
There's a
saying.
commitment, yes.
I already
Okay.
established the fact that
Okay.
we can't.
Everybody, hold on, please. Let's one at a time, finish the thought,
I was trying to
and
do
then
that.
we're interrupting each other, and it's not comfortable for me, so.
So
one
I'm
at a
just,
time,
I'm
that's
just
it.
repeating what Mr. Trapiano
I
said,
understand.
Mr. Chairman, that the only number that legally this board and any other board and people going to the polls and voting for this, the only number that is set in stone is column G,
It's 2015 if it's
which is the
over.
2015
That's correct.
appropriation, correct?
That's correct.
Except for the commitments.
But the idea, or the thought process is that we're gonna fully fund these departments for the next 5 years.
And that's absolutely what I intend to happen. And I could say that without any uncertainty.
Anybody
Well,
else?
you can vote for it, doesn't mean the money's there.
Mrs. Whiteside.
Just make a clarification. If the override is passed, then the funds will be appropriated that year and forever. It will be added to our revenue base.
Correct.
Thank you.
Anything else? We have a motion and a second on this?
Yes,
I made the motion.
and I seconded it.
Okay, motion by Patrick, second by Mrs. Whiteside. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstain? 500. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Water pollution control is the last one.
I believe we're waiting for some information from Mr. Sullivan on this one.
You should see the document labeled Wareham Sewer Enterprise Fund Revenue and Expense Summary FY 2015. Does everybody have that document? So if you go through here, we're going to go over the revenue first. You'll see the ratepayer revenue. Septage and grease, that's revenue that we get from taking in septage and grease. The Bourne capital, that's Bourne's portion of the capital upgrades to the plant. Bourne operating, that's Bourne's portion of the operating budget. We receive revenues from them. And you're going to see betterments / betterments reserves. We need to budget the betterment revenue coming in to properly allocate it. And when you actually, what you receive for revenues on the betterments are approximately, let's say, 1.4 million. You will need from the betterment reserves, which are prepayments and such, to take monies out. You'll see as part of the, which I believe was submitted in the mail today, the DOR report, which will go over that further in detail. However, in the next, over the next 20 years, let's say, there'll be approximately $21 million that will need to be budgeted in for betterments. And we will actually receive a little over 17 million, but we do have enough within the betterment reserves to fund that as of the estimates today and what the Department of Revenue has gone over with us. That total
Sorry, I thought you were done.
Yeah. That total revenue equals $7,467,830.
Questions from the board? Mrs. Whiteside? Mr. Tropiano? Mr. Holmes?
The next item you'll see is what we also do within the budget, and we have a breakdown of it on the second page, but I'd like to continue through this page first. You'll see the revenue reduction of the direct or indirect costs. That's $823,543. That means the net revenue is $6,644,287. And the next we have are the expenses for the department or the fund. Operations and maintenance, $2,884,868. Capital outlay, $646,000. And then you're going to see betterment debt principal, betterment debt interest. And the reason that I have totaled those and also brought the arrows in is so that people who are the ratepayers will see that we are budgeting for the betterments and the ratepayers are not paying for the betterments on that one. The next debt is the non-betterment debt principal, non-betterment debt interest, and short-term interest. So total expenses are $6,644,287.
Can I just have a question? Why do you have figures match next to operations and maintenance?
When speaking with the finance committee, it was important that the ratepayers understand what those numbers are, and just pointing out that they match.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
Page 2 is the breakdown of the indirect costs. You'll see these are the departments that work on the enterprise fund from the town. An enterprise fund as a business, should be run, is supposed to be self-sufficient. But the town does work on behalf of the enterprise fund. As part of the Department of Revenue, they will allow the indirect and the direct costs. So you'll see the salary breakdown and also the benefits. We did not charge for the electricity from our building or other associated costs. The next item you'll see are the direct costs, which are items such as the audit, the enterprise fund's insurance or the general liability, their portion of the legal costs, municipal maintenance, the sewer commissioner's office, technology, some of the communications, and their portion of the payroll. The next item is their benefits. We pay the benefits out of the general fund. So the general fund covers the costs for the enterprise fund. You'll see health and dental, their retirement portion, their portion of workers' compensation, their portion of the LIUNA, and their portion of FICA. We did not do a payment in lieu of taxes. The enterprise fund charges the town roughly and schools $140,000 worth of EDUs every year. when looking at the assessment of the enterprise funds property, the valuation is well over $10 million, which would be roughly $111,000 that the town loses out in taxes. We did not charge that. So
Because we don't have a pilot program.
we don't have the pilot program on there. So it would be the sewer commissioners to decide whether that's something that.
Could we make sure that that's on the agenda for the next sewer commissioners meeting, which is next week?
Next week.
Please.
So the total amount is $823,543. I've gone over this with the director of the Water Pollution Control Facility. We are writing this up as a policy. It will be reviewed yearly. You'll check and see maybe in FY15 they aren't using so much of the Labor Council and such. Maybe there were some higher incidents from the workers' compensation, brought other employees in and such. I did send this to the Department of Revenue to see if, as part of the tax rating setting process, whether they'd have any issue. They did say it is within line of what they have. So. And then
Mr. Sullivan, just a point, when you have a chance back at the office, if you can get paperwork with explanations of the pilot program for the board for the next meeting. I'm not sure everybody understands exactly what it is. Thank you.
Mr.
I have one as well.
You also.
I just wanted to make one observation here. You know, a prior board a number of years ago did away with what we would call the administrative take back, if you will. And in essence, when you don't charge out these expenses back to the sewer enterprise, what you have is a situation where 59% of the people in town are benefiting from additional payments from 41% of the people in town who are on Title V systems. As a matter of fundamental fairness, if you're going to have the sewer as an enterprise and you're going to run it as a separate business, it needs to be responsible for its own costs. Now, obviously, no one in their right mind would expect them to go out and hire their own legal counsel, get their own administration, get their own municipal maintenance, technology, treasurer collector to send out the bills or any of that stuff. So the economies of scale dictate that they seek these services from the town government. However, where it benefits the sewer enterprise and according to the users of the sewer enterprise, who are 59% of the town, it's simply not fair to charge those costs also to the other 41% of the people in the town. So I'm very glad that Mr. Sullivan is going about it in this fashion.
I'd like to add that this is a really good presentation. It's a very clear presentation. And I would echo what Mr. Teitelbaum has said about the equity of what you're doing.
Mr. Holmes?
Yeah, and I think we're gonna discuss this next week at the sewer meeting.
Yes.
Because I think this is a good start, but it definitely doesn't go far enough because, you know, we were talking earlier about I think Joe and I was talking about sand. Joe was talking about some sand as well. That sand goes in the sewer.
Everything goes in the sewer when it rains.
So, you know, he's yelling at the maintenance department. My neighbors are yelling at the maintenance department when really sand may be a sewer responsibility and a prevention on the sewer side. So maybe instead of telling people, hey, we don't have guys to go clean the sand, maybe the sewer should pay for the sand to keep the sand out of the sewer. Maybe we can talk about that next week.
Stormwater drains, different.
Huh?
Stormwater drains, a little different.
Right, but it's going in the sewer.
Make a motion
It's going
to.
to end up down the plant. So maybe we can talk about that next week on our agenda and see if there's a way that we can maybe do something in terms of paying somebody to clean up clean those storm drains in the sewer. Right?
Mr.
May
Sullivan,
I-
could you ask Mr. Menard where that falls in the storm drains?
Motion to approve Article 9, Springtown Meeting, the Water Pollution Control Facility Enterprise Fund.
We get a second?
Yep.
Yes.
Motion by Mrs. Whiteside, second by Mr. Holmes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500. Thank you, Board. We are completed as far as town meeting vote. Steve, could you pass this down?
That
I can put it in
completes the annual town meeting warrant articles. It also has continuation of the 2015 budget, and I think we've covered that pretty well.
Yeah, the only thing would be is as we go down the line, we'll continue to work on, that just goes with the paperwork for the
We already
office.
have all this in here.
I know, but that's got the vote and everything.
Okay, I did
Okay. That was going to be, which we really don't have time for tonight, is to continue on looking at the budget going forward for 2015, going up to the next 3 or 4 years, how we're going to reorganize or modify how the town runs, how we're going to try and do things to save money, work with the school as well, obviously, as the districts, to see if we can share services, et cetera. So this is just an overall policy that will be continued as we go along.
All right, so we're going to move on from that then, and we'll go continue discussion of our policy 8810. Now, if I understand it, Steve just got that, and it's quite a bit to read. Maybe we could.
I'd like to have it put off for
let's
at least
put that off
2 weeks.
for at least a couple weeks.
Yeah, just so everybody understands, that's virtually a master plan for the Board of Selectmen for a 5-year plan.
Right.
It's not just a simple policy. It hasn't been updated
Yes.
since 1988.
All right, so let's
2 weeks.
let's put that off for 2 weeks. Okay, listing of outstanding and new issue project list.
I sent everybody off a list of what I thought would be things we would have to deal with over the next year. And I just sent a note out asking everybody to add things to it. If you could, just send into the office to Shirley, and we'll add it to the list, and we'll have it on an agenda item, probably not next week, but the week after.
Okay.
And that will give everybody a list of, if we accomplish even half what we have, we'll be doing well, but it's pretty thorough so far. I
Okay.
appreciate everybody's working with that as well.
All right, vote to authorize special counsel for Cable Advisory Committee.
I think that's a standard request from
It's pretty
the
standard.
cable.
They have to have
Cable
somebody for
advisory.
negotiation, yeah.
This is the one that actually that deals with the cable companies with the town.
Correct.
Which sets the, contract for the budgets that we get money, et cetera.
Yep.
And I believe Mr. Bowen recommended outside counsel. It's not in his expertise.
Yeah, we had a guy last time around that actually was pretty good.
We'd hope to get a little more money out of it this time.
A little more money. Do you know that the contract we got, and I was involved in that, was the best contract in the state at the time.
I'm not disagreeing, I'm just saying we don't get very much.
It's
directly.
impossible. These guys are tightening their belts all the time, and it's
I
getting
know.
harder to get money out of them.
They're also charging us all more money every year.
Mr. Chairman, this is very good counsel. Attorney Solomon, with whom I've worked
we
before.
used last time.
Yes, and just so the board is aware and the public is aware, the cable company ends up picking up the cost of legal counsel.
Yes.
So it's not dipping into your reserves.
Mr. Holmes.
So, Mr. Chairman, just to be clear, this is the group that's working on the agreement between Verizon and the town of Wareham.
And Comcast,
And
both.
Comcast.
There'll
And
be-
Comcast, right.
well,
But
the-
I mean, this has nothing to do with Wareham.
This is not WCTV. This
Okay,
is-
I got it.
This is the contract between them.
I
and the
just
town.
wanted to verify that which group we were talking about.
Yep.
Move
Any
the
other
appointment of special counsel, Mr. Solomon, for the Cable Advisory Committee.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Propiano, second by Mr. Holmes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Did you vote?
Yeah.
500.
Say that I'm on the committee.
I'm just asking the question.
Okay.
Next.
This is the easement, donation of land in Beaton.
This has to do with basically Walmart with the road, which is called Seth Toby Road, which basically butts up against the other side, which is Tow Road. There's been an issue for a long time where the roads don't line up exactly right. And a lot of times when the trucks take left-hand turns going onto Toby Road, they wipe out the little island and everything else in its way. The Beatons have generously decided to donate a piece of land to allow the roads to actually be synced, which is really kind of neat.
With your permission, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Mr. Ward is the Beaton's representative here. This was approved at
Town meeting.
town meeting about a year and a half ago. And I believe you have a copy of the plan. The intersection is very poor. The agenda item asks that the board accept the gift of the easement, which was approved by town meeting, so that the improvements may be made.
Move approval of the easement and acceptance of the land.
Motion by Mr. Tropiano, second by Mr. Holmes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained, 4-0-0. It's that simple, thank you.
Okay, you want to do your articles?
Yeah, I'll do that
Your
quickly.
policy things, please.
Policy 0307, merge with policy 0306 and include in 8814A and remove 0307. Motion by Mr. Holmes, second by
Me.
Mr. Titlebaum. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 4-0-0. Policy 0401, add to policy 8814A and remove.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Tropiano, second by Mr. Holmes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 4-0-0. Policy 0402, add to policy 0303 and remove 0402. Motion by Mr. Holmes.
Second.
Second by Mr. Tropiano. All those in favor?
Aye.
4-0-0. I think that might be it for the, oh, no. Mrs. Whiteside almost made it. Policy 0602, just remove the word auto registration.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Holmes, second by Mrs. Whiteside. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 5-0-0.
Okay.
Well, we're up to year 2006. We only got a little more to go and we'll be done.
Nice job, Alan.
Almost done.
All right. Next
Actually,
is
one-
any
sorry.
other business not related
Patrick,
to.
one more. I
What?
missed it.
Oh.
Policy, it's easy. Policy 0701. Okay, no change needed. No vote.
Move to reaffirm.
I knew there was one missing.
Second. We move to
Didn't I
reaffirm.
just say there was one missing? I knew there was one missing. See?
Okay.
I pay attention sometimes.
Any other business not reasonably anticipated 40 hours? And actually, we have some.
We have a piece there
We have a
for
piece in the folder
school
here.
department. We have the minor school coming back before us again for the program which we lost 3 years ago now? 2+. Yeah. This is another MSBA program for basically replacement, repair, or expansion, or something of the minor school.
And at this stage, we just need a selectman vote to endorse a statement of intent to submit just to get the ball rolling on this program.
Move approval.
Second.
We've
Oh.
got the, do you,
You have to read the motion a certain way.
Yeah.
I'll read it.
Yeah.
All right. I can't read like Peter can.
I can.
So. All right, go for it.
Wow.
Resolved, having
Work for a day, huh?
Peter's fast.
Resolved, having convened in
Yeah,
an open
but he
meeting on
reads
April
like
8th,
lightning.
2014, prior to the closing date, the Wareham Board of Selectmen of the Town of Wareham, in accordance with its charter, bylaws, and ordinances, has voted to authorize the superintendent to submit to the Massachusetts School Building Authority the Statement of Interest form dated April 2014 for the Minot Forest Elementary School located at 63 Minot Avenue, Wareham, Mass., which describes and explains the following deficiencies in the priority categories for which an application may be submitted to the Massachusetts School Building Authority in the future. Replacement or renovation of a building which is structurally unsound or otherwise in a condition seriously jeopardizing the health and safety of school children where no alternatives exist. Elimination of existing severe overcrowding. Replacement, renovation, or modernization of school facility systems such as roofs, windows, boilers, heating and ventilation systems to increase energy conservation and decrease energy-related costs in a school facility, and replacement of or addition to obsolete buildings in order to provide for a full range of programs consistent with state and local approved local requirements, and hereby further specifically acknowledges that by submitting this statement of interest form, the Massachusetts School Building Authority in no way guarantees the acceptance of or the approval of an application, the awarding of a grant, or any other funding commitment from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, or commits to the town of Wareham School District to filing an application for funding with the Massachusetts School Building Authority, signed by the Wareham Board of Selectmen.
I think, Mr. Chairman, I think I'd like to make a challenge that at the next meeting, I'm not here. I'd like that same letter read by both of them at the same time.
Oh, guess what?
And I think that we'll see who reads faster.
Oh, we know who does.
How's that for a challenge?
Speedy down the end there.
What do you think?
He'd have been
Speedy
done a half
Gonzalez,
hour
what do you
ago.
think?
That was a lullaby.
You got a little head action going on there. You kind of dip your
But I was
forehead.
trying not to laugh because you were trying to make me laugh.
We were trying over here, but you wouldn't look up.
I could see
You
you.
wouldn't bite at all.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, a little levity.
It's okay.
Can we have a
Levity
second?
once in a while.
I still made the
Second.
motion.
Motion
to,
by Mr. Holmes, second by Mr. Tropiano. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
It was
Abstained?
actually a motion by
It was
Miss
me.
Whiteside.
Oh, you know,
That long reading was Miss Whiteside, not Mr. Holmes.
We'll change that. Mrs. Whiteside made the motion.
There you go.
Mr. Tropiano made the second. Vote was 5-0-0. Thank
Boy,
you.
all that, and they tried to
Thank
steal
you
a motion
very
from you.
much.
You're welcome.
Apologize for the
Anybody
Good night.
else, and Miss
Thank you.
Whiteside, anything 48-hour business?
no, thank you.
Steve?
I have something, Mr. Chairman. Oh, thank you. I was waiting for you to say go ahead. This serious matter, West Wareham, a real destruction of peacefulness. I would like to ask the board's indulgence to bypass Mr. Sullivan and have the board directly go to town council to investigate the matter of a racetrack in Wareham that is currently being fully operated in Wareham. The reason I'm not asking for Mr. Sullivan to do it is because it does not only involve the town of Wareham. It involves districts in Wareham. And Mr. Sullivan, of course, has no jurisdiction over those districts. So if I could ask the board to authorize Mr. Bowen to do one of his investigations on this particular racetrack in Wareham that is not an official business, and then present his findings to the board within 3 weeks. It's an emergency matter, and it's not going very well. So I would ask the board's indulgence to have him investigate the racetrack.
Could you just be more specific? Because I
Sure,
think
there's
two
a
of us-
racetrack in Wareham
What kind of a
behind
race-
Denny's. I'm not a racing enthusiast, so I don't know.
What kind of a racetrack?
It's a
East
It's East Wareham,
Oh, I'm
sir.
sorry, east.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know whether I'm east or west, but it's rum, 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 rum. It's one of those racetracks. There's cranberry bogs there. They're using Onset District land. I was out 7:30 or so teeing off, and that's all you could hear was engines rearing in that 7:30, 8 o'clock time frame, and that's all we heard.
In the morning.
Yes, in Onset in East Wareham was engines racing all day. So I know that in the past some folks have looked into this, but I'm requesting the board not to have a discussion about it tonight because we don't have all the facts. But I'd like to, because it involves the districts as well, district land, I'd like to have Mr. Bowen and his team do an investigation as to how this happened, what's there, and make recommendations to us because this obviously can't go on the way it is. And then report back to us, and then we can put it on the agenda and have a discussion about it. Any objections? No objections. So, Mr. Chairman, if you could speak to town council and get that done, please. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I have the specifics. I've already looked into it once before.
Okay, Alan, you're, well, actually, Peter. Peter, you have anything 48-hour business?
Nope, all set, thank you.
Alan?
I'm beyond help.
Mr. Chair?
I'm beyond help.
All right, town administrators report, please.
Thank you. besides working on the budgets and such, I did do a few things, but I met with Seth Pickering, the Department of Energy Resources, and I understand this to be one of the items that Chairman Slavin has put forward. I would ask that we bring them before this board. There's grant opportunities that we are missing out left and right, and coming forward and becoming a green community can really bring us. I believe we're in somewhere around the $200,000 to $250,000 range, and once you go through that, you can get it again. So we're really leaving a lot of money on the table. So I'd request that we do move forward on that, bring him in, and maybe start really working towards that and see what we have to do.
Could you ask him to come in 2 weeks? Because next week would be sewer.
Okay.
Is anybody paying attention?
Let's see if the board will.
2 weeks, you said.
2 weeks, yeah, we got it. We heard you. We agree.
Yes.
And if Steve heard you, everybody.
If I heard you.
Yeah, exactly.
If I heard what you said.
Everybody heard.
May 14th, I'll be meeting with SERPED, the Mass DOT, to go over some of their bike path and maybe some proposed changes. I did meet also with the Bike Path Committee, going over some of the onset bike path route. I have packets, and I am doing this quickly. I have packets. Now that we have accepted the snow and ice removal from private ways, we need to put the selectmen policies together. In this packet, I have the policies from Dennis, Falmouth, Harwich, and Sandwich. I think they are ones that we can use for a foundation to create our own. I'd like to hand them out and see if we can start bringing this forward, because we'll have to do this sooner rather than later. Even though hopefully we're done with the snow, we need to have all this implemented probably by the end of the summer.
So could you put that on the agenda for 2 weeks? Or do we?
The chair can arrange that.
It's nice for me to give something to the selectmen every now and again.
I think we'll wait till after town meeting to get through this first.
Okay, is that it, Mr. Sullivan?
That is my quick report.
Okay, liaison reports?
Just one quick thing.
Oh.
You have Seth Pickering coming in. You're going to do that under your town administrator report when he comes in, or is it going to be under town business?
I'd like to have them under town business so we don't have to wait for the town administrator's report.
If you want to give me an outline, just leave it on where I usually schedule the agenda, and I'll slide it in.
Excellent.
You want to get a hold of Seth and see what works for him as well?
Yeah, we'll see if that works for him for coming in as well.
He might want to bring the undersecretary in too, maybe.
Okay, Ms. Whiteside, liaison reports? None?
No.
I have none. Mr. Holmes? Mr. Titlebaum?
Nothing.
Okay, I guess it's just me. I'm not sure whether everybody got a copy of the report from Bridgewater State University on the focus groups that I did back about, I think 4 months ago. We got the 4 groups in. They've taken all the information. They've given us back a very nice report. Everybody will go through it. I'd like to put it on the agenda for discussion, probably right after town meeting as well. They're very direct, and we had 21 people total actually participate in this. They're from all different facets of the town of Wareham, large corporations, small corporations, private citizens, people in real estate, restaurants, just you name it. I had different people come in to kind of have an overview of all the town, and I think they've done a very nice job what they put together. I noticed there's one little error on page 3. It talks about 375 years. We're only 275, so.
Has this been?
On page 3, there was.
Yeah, no, I saw that. But have you shared this with other boards? Like,
I haven't done anything with this yet.
it seems to me that it should be forwarded to the school committee, because it really does have a lot of comment. We really are a town.
Yeah,
that,
I just
and it
wanted
really
to go
has
through
some
this
comments.
first, and then
Yeah.
we'll distribute it out.
Okay.
You don't have one? No.
It was in the packet.
Should be in the packet. Okay, thought you were missing it. All right, we had that. I mentioned a week ago about the MPO program, which we talked about already. What else have we done lately? Let's see. sorry, I met in Middleborough with Representative Gifford, Representative, I forget the last name, I apologize, Kiko from basically the district north of us, talking about unfunded mandates, talking about the tax setup that we have with 2.5 and all the other issues. And they, of course, agreed that it's a problem. But there's no solution in sight. They wanted to basically blame whoever's been in place for the last 60 years. So they basically agreed that it would be good for the town to reach out to other towns, try and set up an alliance of similar towns with the same situations and start to basically go to the State House and complain as loud as we can about the issues that we have for funding, the mechanisms, the formulas, et cetera, that we're under, as I've mentioned more than a few times before. So we will slowly get to work on this as we go along. And I think that's all I really have that's important tonight. That's it for me.
That's it?
That's it. Mr. Holmes.
Chair, next week is the sewer week, right?
Yep.
Can we put on that agenda the internship? Next week is the sewer commissioners meeting, right? Portion.
Yes.
Can we get on the agenda the internship program so we can discuss that with Mr. Campino?
Internship for Mr.
Yeah,
Campino?
the group of students from Bridgewater that are interested in working with us, and he's interested in working with them on the solar
Yeah.
project. Okay,
Well,
so we can
we've had that
discuss it.
Yeah, we've had that project sitting with them for quite a while also.
Yeah. Well, that way we can discuss it
Okay.
officially.
Can
Thank
do.
you.
That's it. Motion to adjourn would be inappropriate. Would be appropriate.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.